Okay, good evening, y'all. Welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Iyun to lean on. Today we're doing Simon Reshut Beis and Hilchos Berachos HaPeiros as we near the end of Hilchos Berachos HaPeiros. Today is a very famous halakha. Mavarech ala ikar u'poter satzvel. You're eating two different foods. One is the main food you want to eat, and one is not as important. Not that you don't want to eat it, but it's less important. It's meant to accompany the other food, and probably you wouldn't eat that unless you're eating the other food. For example, herring, right? Dag miliach, the Gemara's famous example. You're eating bread and you're eating bread with your herring, right? Whether you eat crackers, whether you eat kichels, whether you eat bread with your herring, the people, what are you eating? You're eating herring. You're eating herring with bread. So the correct bracha, if you eat them together, or you eat for some reason the herring first, the correct bracha is a shahakal. You don't make a bracha on the bread. You don't make a bracha on the bread because the bread is there merely to accompany the herring. So it shouldn't be so salty or whatever reason just to hold it. So you shouldn't get your hands dirty. You want to eat the bread also, no one's going to disagree. But if there was no herring, you probably wouldn't be eating bread over here. So what does it mean? It doesn't mean, it's very lumdish today actually, we're going to investigate it, very analytical today, is the explanation that when you make a bracha on the fish, which is sha'akal, the herring, it exempts the bracha on the bread. Really, technically you're supposed to make hamotzi on the bread, and you're supposed to make sha'akal on the fish, but because you're eating them together, so therefore one exempts the other. Meaning, really, I'm chayiv. I'm chayiv to make a hamotzi on the bread, but because I'm eating them together, it exempted it. But I have a different understanding. Kol shu ikar imot tefila, mavarach al ikar potes tefila, means that it's not that it exempts it, even though it's potter really means to exempt it. It really means that there's only one bracha over here. Even the bracha on the bread becomes shahakal. Even the right bracha on the bread. It's not the right bracha on the bread is hamotzi, and you don't have to say hamotzi. The right bracha on the bread is one unit. You're eating the herring and you're eating the bread together. The bracha on the bread now is shahakal. Let's give some more examples. It's a fun topic to talk about. Schnitzel, schnitzel. Everyone famous. What bracha you make on schnitzel? It's machlokas among the poskim. Some people say Rav Yasher says you make mazonos. I think my Rebbe Yaakov Friedman said you make a shahakal, no matter how thick the breading is. Most people, I don't personally like schnitzel. I don't like schnitzel. In fact, I'm having schnitzel tonight for dinner, but I'm not having with breading. I'm having corn schnitzel. I don't like schnitzel with the breading. I think it's very cheap. It's disgusting. But anyone who eats that, anyone really who's eating that, why are they eating it? They're eating it because of the chicken? No, they're eating it because it's fried. Fried breadcrumbs taste good with chicken, right? So the chicken happens to be subsidiary. So the correct bracha, this is another example of what I'm saying. The correct bracha on the schnitzel itself, the chicken itself, is mazonos. For example, if I would go and take a piece of schnitzel and I would extract a piece of chicken from underneath the breadcrumbs and eat it without the breadcrumbs, on my way, I'm going to continue eating it with the breadcrumbs afterwards, like the case the Ramah talks about over here in Halacha Aleph, that if I eat the tafel before the ikar. So according to the Shulchan and the Ramah, right? So technically, if he's understanding ikar no poder tefila, that's only because I made a bracha on the ikar, on the fish, or on the main part of the shechel, which is the breadcrumbs, because that's what most people like. Honestly, that's why I don't like it. It's a cheap food. You're eating fried breadcrumbs. That's why people like it, because it's fried breadcrumbs. That's why people like it. So you're eating you're eating the breadcrumbs. So together with the chicken at the same time, you're eating the ikar first. So they got the Ramans are saying the ikar and exempts the tafel. You don't have to make a bracha on the tafel, which is the chicken, or which happens to be the bread with the herring. However, if you would eat the tafel first, let's say I would eat the chicken first. I would take out chicken first, or I would eat the bread first and then eat the herring. So the bracha would be on motzi on the bread, or the bracha would be shahakal on the chicken. I have to make a bracha on that first. I don't think that's true, because I think ikar kosher ikar you eat ikar and tafel together, right? Even if you're going to eat the tafel first, the bracha on the tafel it's one unit. It becomes part of the bracha of the ikar. It gets the bracha of the ikar. So even if I eat the chicken first, the correct bracha on the chicken is mazonos, because I plan to eat the rest of the schnitzel together with the breadcrumbs. And same thing with the herring and the bread, right? If you're eating bread, challah, and herring, even if I eat challah first, but I plan to continue eating with bread, the correct bracha on the challah is shahakal. That's the way I understand it. Because one unit. It's not that it's really chayiv a bracha hamosi and I'm exempting it. It's exempt. So therefore, if I eat it first by itself, I have to make a bracha, so make the correct bracha hamotzi. The correct bracha no longer is hamotzi. The correct bracha on the bread is shahakal. It's one unit. And that's really, basically what he says in halacha base when you have wafers, right? Wafers. Or even think about like a tuna fish sandwich. I had for lunch, tuna fish sandwich, right? Why are you eating the tuna fish sandwich? You're eating with bread, right? You're eating it for the bread or you're eating it for the tuna fish? Honestly, which is the most important, right? I can tell you if I'm having maybe bread and butter, or I'm having bread and peanut butter, right? So no one's gonna eat peanut butter by themselves. No one's gonna eat butter by itself. You're eating it with the bread, right? The bread makes it taste good. Tuna fish sandwich. Most people eat tuna fish by themselves. So the tuna fish sandwich, I believe, what I had for lunch today, even though I made hamotzi, like I'm supposed to do it. Every rabbi will tell you that make hamotzi. I believe, my personal opinion. Again, I'm not a rabbi. My personal opinion is the main part there is the tuna fish because you eat it by yourself. Whatever you eat by itself, and you just happen to make it taste better to eat in a sandwich, the correct bracha shahakal. I should not have washed. I should not have benched. It's bracha levatalas. I shouldn't have made hamotzi. I shouldn't have benched, but I did. I washed. I made hamotzi. I benched. I didn't make a bracha on the tuna fish. I should make a shahakal on the tuna fish and the bread, but I didn't. So I was wrong. And wafers also in halacha beis over here. Wafers, chocolate wafers, right? The correct bracha is on the chocolate, right? The wafers, it's like a cookie, right? A chocolate hamantash or something like that. So, chocolate hamantash, you like the hamantash also. So, the ikar is really the cookie, but wafers, it's very thin. No one eat those thin wafers where they were tasteless. You're eating really the chocolate. It's just, um, a more refined way of eating chocolate, right? So that's really what it is. You want to eat chocolate with wafer. It tastes better with the wafer. Correct bracha is shahakal. That's what he says in halacha beis, and it should be the halacha. For some reason it's not, but anyway, that's all I have to say about the matter. Again, my explanation is not accepted among the Rabbanim, but I hope one day I'll get a chance to talk with the Rabbanim about it, and maybe they'll side with me. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.